Holy shit. He said what?
I want to play you the first of these South Park clips and get you to react.
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
This one brilliantly exposes some of the Sussex's laughable hypocrisy. Watch.
Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy. Look at this town. There's just something about it. Oh, darling, I think this might be the place. You really think so? We can have a fresh start here.
You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
It's the biggest piece of dog
They said they wanted privacy and then went on the worldwide privacy tour. You seriously can't make this up.
Can we? Can we rally move here and finally have our own privacy? My love, I will do anything for your privacy.
Yeah, I loved it.
Meghan and Harry fled the palace claiming they were done with the spotlight, but suddenly they're everywhere. Netflix, Oprah, books, podcasts, and now cartoons. South Park didn't just drag them, it nuked their whole brand. Politely, of course.
It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved her, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal. It does seem perfect, doesn't it?
The episode called her Maxilla, a screeching, fame-obsessed diva raging through cities demanding privacy with a megaphone. Yep, it was that subtle.
Sorority girl, actress, influencer, victim.
Yeah, that's totally me!
It was satire so savage it made royal biographers flinch. But here's the kicker. Meghan didn't laugh. Reports say she was furious. Not quietly either. Maxilla was trending before her morning tea.
Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting?
She allegedly tried to get the episode pulled, which never works. It's like throwing gasoline on a meme bonfire. Instead of silence, she got millions laughing, and not with her. Queen Maxilla was born, and she's not going anywhere.
The couple have been begging for privacy, and South Park has done a parody of this, and apparently it has really upset Meghan Markle.
South Park didn't just parody Meghan, it roasted her entire identity. One moment she's a royal, next a woke warrior, now a cartoon monster with publicist rage. They even mocked her Netflix shows. Let's just say the kitchen scenes didn't age well, and neither did the excuses.
She's apparently spent days being upset and overwhelmed, according to sources, over this parody which picks apart all of their publicity blitz while at the same time begging privacy.
Maxilla raged through town like a PR tornado, shrieking about oppression from her luxury mansion. And Harry? The cartoon made him look like a day's support act. Poor guy. One line in the episode pretty much said it all. We hate your wife. Brutal. But it echoed what critics have whispered for years. Meghan's brand wasn't just questioned, it was dismantled, animated frame by frame.
So you hate journalists. That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. So you're a journalist.
And instead of brushing it off with class, Meghan went full damage control. Rumors say lawyers were called, letters were written, like South Park hasn't handled worse. Trying to shut it down only confirmed what the episode joked about. Maxilla doesn't want privacy. She wants control.
You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, When?
Would you ever run for office?
No.
Never.
No.
Never.
Never. Oh my gosh, I work so hard and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
Well, according to their tax documents, they work 1 hour a week. And she wants money to just fall into her bank account with little to no effort.
The irony? In trying to silence the joke, Meghan amplified it. The memes exploded. TikToks multiplied. Queen Maxilla trended in places the Sussexes probably haven't even visited. You really can't script this better.
What mother or father in the name of sweet Jesus has enough time to create a fruit plate at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning when there's toast throwing around the room?
But here's where it gets embarrassing. While Meghan fumed, South Park stayed quiet. No apology, no statement, just silence. That's power. Meanwhile, Meghan's image spun out harder than Harry on a podcast. Bro blinked twice like he needed needed saving.
I nearly entered rehab yesterday. That is the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen on television in my life.
I can't take it anymore. Get out, get out, get out. Uncle, make it end. Make it end.
At this point, Maxilla wasn't just a cartoon, it was a symbol, a walking contradiction wrapped in PR, the kind that shouts, "Stop looking at me," while waving from a Netflix trailer. And the public? Oh, they were eating it up like royalty.
The episode said they're very wealthy. He's been handed everything he has on a platter. You know, they're literal royals. They're living in a multi-million-pound house in Southern California. I mean, really, what grievances do you have that most people can relate with?
Meghan's reaction made one thing clear. She didn't expect to be mocked. She expected to be worshipped. The internet flipped the switch fast, from sympathy to sarcasm. And the worst part? That cartoon version started to feel kind of accurate. Ouch. We're not saying Meghan is Maxilla, but if the shoe fits and stomps around demanding privacy, maybe it's time to reconsider the PR team.
You can't sue a cartoon. It's satire. It is what it is. South Park has done episodes on the royal family, on the royal wedding of Kate and William, for instance, so it's not something that they would be able to sue about. And I genuinely just don't believe it, really.
Commentators started digging up everything, from Oprah interviews to old red carpet clips, matching real quotes to the cartoon like it was a documentary. "We just want to live normal lives," cut to a $14 million Montecito mansion. Normal. Where? Mars. The contrast was too obvious to ignore, and the memes practically wrote themselves. Meghan had become the main character, again.
This particular episode was quite scathing, and the grains of truth that it held. You know, I'm not sure how the Sussexes are taking it. Obviously, it is a cartoon, but there's so many moments of truth in that episode that makes it so funny. The episode called what they were doing a worldwide privacy tour, which is obviously a play on really what they're trying to do.
Even late-night hosts jumped in. Headlines called it the meltdown of the year. Some fans defended her, sure, but most just laughed. Not because it was mean, but because it was spot on. One TikToker said it best: Maxilla's not satire, it's prophecy. Someone check on Harry.
They couldn't have imagined being made a laughingstock by the cult cartoon South Park.
And let's talk about Harry for a second. The man once dubbed the fun royal now looks like he's stuck in a PR hostage situation. In the episode, he says nothing while Maxilla spirals. Relatable. That silence became a meme too. Blink twice. If you're okay, trended for hours. It's wild. A whole generation that once adored them now treats them like a reality show they never asked for. And Meghan's still fighting the script.
These two are not sincere people. They say that they want their privacy while going on every television show, writing books, doing 6 hours of Netflix. They're not very likable, and people are tired of them.
Meghan's biggest mistake? She tried to fight satire like it was slander, but you can't sue a cartoon, especially one that's already printed the t-shirts. Instead of owning the joke, she tried to delete it, and that only made it louder. The court of public opinion doesn't need a lawyer.
They're putting themselves on the world stage using expensive PR while demanding privacy, while writing books, while being on Oprah that had 50 million viewers. You know, people who want privacy don't do that. You live your life quietly in privacy, so it's such hypocrisy. I think they did a brilliant job.
South Park never flinched. No apology, no retraction, just silence. That silence hit harder than any interview. While Meghan scrambled, Trey Parker and Matt Stone sat back, letting Maxilla do the talking. And boy, did she talk. The episode didn't just mock her, it exposed her. The performance activism, the choreographed interviews, the scripted victimhood, everything the critics whispered, suddenly it was animated in HD.
What matters is what we have on the inside.
They nailed it. They nailed it. I think he goes on to say, so you wrote a book talking about your family. Does that not make you a journalist too? And then they kind of stare at each other like dumbfounded.
Meghan has spent years carefully crafting a new image. Humanitarian, activist, victim of palace cruelty. But Maxilla tossed all that into a blender. Viewers didn't just laugh, they nodded. Yeah, that tracks. The cartoon painted her as a chaotic chef, not of meals, but of messes. Netflix show flopped? Blame the system. Royal exit backlash? Blame the press. The formula was tired. South Park simply held up a mirror, and Meghan didn't like what she saw.
They say they hate journalists. Harry hates journalists. But to pay PR, who say what you want and who, shape social perception in your favor while also disparaging and lying about others, thereby breaching their privacy. I think the whole, worldwide privacy tour is hysterical.
The episode also reignited all the old royal wounds. Oprah, Spare, The Invisible Children, the press drama, and those mysterious missing podcasts. Meghan wasn't just facing jokes, she was facing her entire public record. Critics online started connecting the dots, realizing the satire wasn't random, it was research. Maxilla was Meghan's resume with punchlines, and instead of letting it fade, she lit it up with spotlight tantrums. That's not damage control, that's image demolition.
Harry last year wrote a book called Spare, which smashed his brother, his father, his mother-in-law, his sister-in-law, the media, and many, many others in one giant whinge.
It was just sterile and awful, and I hate her. I'm so sorry, I really do.
Now, I don't know what he and his wife expected from this. Was it pity, sympathy at their hard life, or just the millions of dollars they've earned from betraying Harry's family?
By the time the memes settled, the damage was done. Meghan's reaction proved the satire right. Instead of showing strength, she showed how fragile the narrative had become. Even fans started asking, why can't she laugh? Why can't Harry speak? And what exactly are they trying to hide? That's the power of parody. It doesn't just entertain, it interrogates. And when the answers aren't convincing, the cartoon becomes the truth. Maxilla wasn't just a roast, it was a reckoning.
Meghan, it's just like we see right through your fake behavior, and no amount of saying how kind you are is going to make people think, oh, isn't she so kind? All of the nasty things you have done, we know.
What made this episode so devastating wasn't the jokes. It was how real they felt. The over-the-top tantrums, the victimhood parade, the desperate grasp for control. All exaggerated, sure, but not entirely fictional. Meghan's critics didn't have to dig deep to find the parallels. The show didn't mock her race, her gender, or her past. It mocked her behavior, the image crafting, the silence demanding, the PR spin that only made things worse. And while Meghan doubled down, Harry sat back, blinking like a man who misses the army. Honestly, if they wanted to disappear, South Park just handed them the map. They just refused to read it.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
My wife is not visibly black, but that's who she is. The way that they speak about her and the way they treat her is incredibly relatable to everybody else of color.
Who just went off on these, what did she call them? Queen's husband was dying, and she went on Oprah and suggested one or both of them are raging racists. She couldn't have cared less. She doesn't care about anyone other than herself, and I include Harry in that. She cares about her image. That's why she's there.
Meanwhile, the internet crowned Maxilla the unofficial queen of contradiction. Twitter feeds were flooded with side-by-sides. We want privacy next to their Oprah close-ups. We're done with the royals, beside photos from the coronation. YouTube breakdowns turned the cartoon into case studies. TikTok creators even stitched scenes with real interviews, and the transitions were seamless. That's what made it land so hard. It wasn't fantasy, it was footage. Meghan became the first royal in history to lose a PR war to a cartoon, and the fact she even tried to fight it, that was the real punchline. Every attempt to censor or correct just reinforced what the show was mocking. And here's the wildest part, South Park didn't say anything cruel. They just asked the one question no one else would. Are you really who you say you are?
Spare, I've read it cover to cover. They are a damaged couple. They are people in trauma.
We want our privacy and safety, but we'll go be at Beyonce concerts and do whatever we want. Oh, look at him. It's my fox. Oh, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
By now, even Meghan's most loyal supporters started shifting uncomfortably. The satire wasn't just funny, it peeled back the polished layers of her persona like a slow, unfiltered zoom. Every carefully curated moment, every teary interview, every branded initiative suddenly looked manufactured, overproduced, cold. Maxilla didn't destroy Meghan's reputation, it revealed how hollow it had become. And instead of reflection, she doubled down with control. South Park, without lifting a finger after release, became the symbol of resistance against celebrity censorship. They didn't insult her race. They didn't mock trauma. They mocked the performance, the act of playing misunderstood while directing the spotlight. And Meghan's response? Pure theater. From reported legal threats to whispered press leaks, the goal seemed clear: make the cartoon disappear. But here's the irony. The moment she tried to erase the parody, she proved it was accurate. She wasn't protecting her peace. She was managing perception. And audiences could feel that. That's why this episode wasn't just a cultural joke. It became a mirror. And the more Meghan fought it, the more she showed the reflection was real. It was a brutal moment in modern celebrity culture. Not because a duchess got mocked, but because the mocking worked. Harry, once the free-spirited royal rebel, now looked like a hostage in a book tour. Meghan, once hailed as a trailblazer, now looked like someone desperately rewriting the script. But the audience had already seen the first act. And here's the kicker. The more she tried to take control, the more control she lost.
If you think about it, Meghan got everything she wanted. She got the husband, she got the children, she got the HRA, she got everything that allowed her to rise up and have that global recognition that we know how badly she wanted that.
Meghan ruined Harry. Now that the once carefree, fun-loving prince has turned into a miserable moaner, lashing out from the depths of his paranoia at a world he thinks is conspiring against him.
The Maxilla episode didn't just roast Meghan Markle, it peeled back the layers of a media persona that many believed, for years, was bulletproof. Carefully constructed, endlessly polished, and relentlessly defended by an army of PR professionals. Meghan's image had always been about control. Control of the narrative, control of the framing, control of how the public perceives every headline, every move, every word she utters. But South Park, it shattered that illusion in 20 minutes of brutal, animated chaos. This wasn't just a cartoon poking fun at a public figure. This was a cultural reckoning disguised in comedy. A sharp, unapologetic reflection of the growing disconnect between what celebrities say and what the public actually sees. The Maxilla character wasn't exaggerated nonsense. It was a carefully targeted composite of the contradictions that have fueled public criticism of Meghan for years. It held a mirror up to the audience and said, "You see it too, right?" And what did we see? A woman who said she wanted privacy while signing multi-million-dollar deals for documentaries, interviews, books, and branded podcasts. A couple who rejected royal duties but kept the titles. A narrative of being silenced, told through countless media outlets with global reach. Maxilla was the manifestation of all those mixed signals: loud, chaotic, theatrical, and deeply insecure. The brilliance of South Park was that it didn't try to argue, it didn't yell, it simply laid out the absurdity and let the audience decide. And overwhelmingly, the response wasn't outrage, it was recognition. People nodded, they laughed. They paused and thought, wait, are we being played? Because when parody starts feeling like journalism, something's gone terribly wrong. Meghan's response to all this was predictable and yet still disappointing. Instead of laughing it off, or better yet, using it as an opportunity to reflect and reset, she reportedly tried to get it censored. Legal pressure, public silence, the same playbook that had been used time and time again. But this time, it didn't work. In fact, it backfired catastrophically. The harder she pushed, the more viral it became. Maxilla wasn't just a one-off joke anymore. She became a meme, a movement, a symbol. TikToks exploded. Reaction videos spread like wildfire. Commentators from across the spectrum weighed in, not just about Meghan, but about what this said about celebrity culture as a whole. Are we living in a time when brands matter more than truth? When perception beats reality? And here's the painful irony. If Meghan had simply ignored it, the episode might have faded away. But by trying to bury it, she proved it right. She wasn't protecting her mental health. She was managing a brand, and the public could smell the difference. Maxilla now lives permanently in the digital archives of pop culture, a footnote that may outlive the royal interviews, the documentaries, and maybe even the book deals. Because Maxilla wasn't just a roast, it was a message. Authenticity matters. And when your version of the truth doesn't match the receipts, the public eventually stops listening. So where does this leave Meghan? At a crossroads. She can keep spinning, keep controlling, keep curating every quote, or she can face the music, admit the missteps, show vulnerability that isn't prepackaged with soft lighting and dramatic piano music. Because if she doesn't, there will be more Maxillas. Maybe not animated, maybe not on cable, but definitely waiting in the wings. Let this be the warning shot, not just for Meghan, but for every public figure trying to live two lives. The private victim and the public icon, the humble voice and the screaming brand. You can't be both, forever. Eventually, the mask slips. And when it does, don't be surprised if the world prefers the cartoon to the real thing. Think about it. We live in a time where a cartoon can shift public perception more effectively than a primetime interview. That says something, not just about South Park's bite, but about the fragility of modern fame. The old rules no longer apply. When everything is content, everything is fair game. And if your public persona has even the slightest crack in its foundation, satire will find it, pry it open, and expose what's underneath. that's exactly what happened here. And while some defenders argue this was all too far, the truth is, it was overdue. For years, the public has watched the narrative being shaped, reshaped, and manipulated into something unrecognizable. But people aren't as blind as the PR handlers think. They've been connecting the dots in silence, waiting for someone to say it out loud. Maxilla said it loud, in neon animation and comedic chaos. What made this moment different is that it wasn't just a takedown, it was a cultural reset. A signal that even the most curated public image can be unraveled in under 30 minutes. If the audience sees through it, if they feel like they've been played, and this time, they did. The laughter wasn't cruel, it was cathartic. So if you're wondering whether Maxilla was the end of Meghan's brand as we know it, maybe it was. Or maybe it was just the beginning of a new chapter, one she didn't write, can't control, and definitely didn't see coming. Let us know in the comments, is Meghan finally facing the consequences of over-curating her image? Or is this just another example of the media turning on a woman who dares to speak? Either way, one thing is clear, the age of untouchable celebrities is over, and the age of animated truth bombs, just getting started. If you're still here, you know we don't pull punches. So hit that subscribe button, because next time, we're going even deeper into the royal unraveling, and trust us, it gets wilder. Before you go, please note, this video discusses ongoing legal proceedings based on alleged and unverified information. All claims and allegations mentioned have not been confirmed by official sources and are part of a developing case. The views shared are for commentary and discussion purposes only. Always check for updates from reliable sources. Thanks for watching.